And joining us now is the head coach of the Oklahoma State Cowboys, Mike Boynton. Coach, so at the start of the year, Tate and I think we kind of knew that our alma maters, Tate's a North Carolina guy, I'm an Ohio State guy.
Yep.
I think we had a sixth sense that we were going to blow it in the tournament.
Yeah,
because
something bad was coming, Coach.
Coming into the season, we were trying to figure out a bandwagon team to pick. We talked to each other about it. We landed on Oklahoma State. We picked you guys to be our bandwagon team that we could both cheer for all season. And since that time, the bandwagon has filled up, Coach. Everybody's talking about you guys. Cade is now very confident. He says he wants to emulate Carmelo Anthony's 2003 run. So my question to you as a coach is, how do you manage what the expectation has become, the confidence of your team, while also keeping the one game at a time mentality?
That's a great question. You guys have really good taste in basketball programs, I tell you.
Yeah, I love that, Coach.
I admire both of those programs, both of those coaches, a lot of really good players. For us, it's just about trying to be in the moment and trying to get these guys to enjoy as much of this process as possible, particularly because our program hasn't been here as consistently as those two programs that we're mentioning. And certainly recently we haven't had the success, even when we have gotten here, to be able to look too far ahead. So I want our guys to keep dreaming big, but I want them to stay focused on the task at hand. And the task right now is a really good Oregon State team who's playing with as much confidence as any team is in a whole tournament because they're on the run, kind of, getting in this tournament through their conference tournament. And now having upset Tennessee in the first round, got to feel like they can beat anybody on any night.
And Coach, we have to ask this because we are college basketball diehards. We love the game of college basketball, and we love Cade Cunningham, and we love that he came to college and played for you. And, I want to work back a little bit because, this summer there was all these stories about, Oklahoma State, will they play in the tournament? Should Cade just opt out and not play basketball? And he says, no. Stop with all that NBA chatter. I'm going to go play for my coach. I'm going to play for my school. What did it mean to have him do that, and how great has it been to be able to now have him in the tournament and be in this position now?
Well, if you think anybody's happier that Cade decided to play college basketball more than I am, but it's been a true joy to be able to have him in our program every day. First of all, he loves the game.
Yep.
Like, he doesn't enjoy it as a hobby. He doesn't like it because people think he's good at it.
Yep.
He takes it pretty seriously. He's pretty intentional about improving. He is a almost desperate competitor in terms of the most important thing to him is winning.
I love it.
And so I'm very thankful that he stayed committed to our program and that winning has continued to be the most important thing for him, because there's been a lot of noise out there about how he should be playing or why he isn't being more aggressive and taking more shots. But he stayed focused on improving, helping his teammates be better, and putting our team in position of where we are now with the Sweet 16 riding on the line in our next game.
Well, whether it's because you guys have been playing well down the stretch or most likely it's because of Cade, but a lot of the country has watched a lot of Oklahoma State basketball this year.
Yep.
And if you have watched a lot of Oklahoma State basketball, one thing you might have noticed is you guys playing a lot of close games, Coach. They always seem – you guys have been a fun team to watch. If you're a neutral fan, throw in an Oklahoma State game – in the final 5 minutes, it's probably going to be close.
Yeah,
Cade
get your money's worth.
So for us, we have nothing on the line. If you guys lose a heartbreaker, we're just like, oh, that sucks, and we walk away and we live our lives. But as a coach, is this something that you look back on and you say, that's good experience for us, now we're going into March, we're not going to panic if it's a close game down the stretch? Or are you like, now hang on a second, we're playing with fire here, boys. Like, we gotta sharpen up a little bit.
Well, I tell our team all the time, I would be perfectly comfortable with a 10-point win. and I say that in jest, obviously, because, winning is winning. And as long as we're playing the right way, we understand that we're playing at the highest level of competition in the country on most nights when we play in our conference. And then getting into the NCAA tournament, that's what it's going to be most games. It's going to be close games. You see a lot of crazy things happen, buzzer beaters or upsets or whatnot. And I think this experience going through this season, we played 16 of our games heading into the NCAA tournament were decided by 5 points or less or in overtime.
Wow.
And we won 11 of those games. So we're a pretty battle-tested group. And I'm excited that we just continue to have an opportunity to play in this
I
tournament.
feel like you have too much data almost, Coach, that like if you're in a close game now, you're like, which one of those 11 plays, the 11 times that we won those close games, which one of those do I call here? Yeah, that seems like a little bit overkill. So let's talk about the game you guys got tomorrow. Oregon State, they are a 12 seed. You mentioned earlier they're very hot. They're a team that had to win their conference tournament to even make the tournament. Then they knock off Tennessee rather easily, kind of.
Yep.
So what is the message to the team now? To you have a very young team. I'm sure they've all followed the NCAA tournament through the years. I'm sure they know that a 12 seed is typically not a great team. So how do you get them to ignore the number next to Oregon State and say that number represents their whole season? It doesn't represent the team they are right now, because right now they're a very good basketball team.
Yeah, there's a delicate balance that you have to strike with a young team. First and foremost, you got to help them understand that there are things that we have to do about ourselves to give ourselves a good chance to win.
Yep.
The second thing is, and this one is a little easier because it speaks to both teams, we don't know if Oregon State went through something in the middle of the year where they dropped a couple of games and maybe was in that position where they had to win their conference tournament. And so at this point, the seeds aren't really as relevant as most outsiders think.
Right.
In fact, our guys would tell you that we deserved a better seed than a 4.
Right.
But I tell them, at the end of the day, you got to play the games in front of you. And to win this thing, you have to beat good people. And so we aren't really focused on the seed lines as much as trying to prepare ourselves to face Oregon State team, like I said, that's very confident, shooting the ball well, and in many respects is going to come in as an underdog, which in this tournament, right, you get the fans on your side. If you build a 10-point lead, everybody starts cheering for you.
Yep. And, Coach, we have to ask, because you mentioned the people, and, these guys, obviously you have great players on your team, but they are still kids. They are still human beings. So dealing with the fact that they're isolated at times in their rooms, how do you keep, engaged, connected, keep guys, spirits up? How are you doing that? Because I know that's got to be a tall task in and of itself.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting year in that regard because, I would guess for the last decade, we've talked about this generation of kids as being too self-centered, right? They're all into their phones and their Netflix and then sometime around late spring last year, we told everybody to shut themselves out from the rest of the world and to isolate and to not socialize. And we're 10 months or so, 12 months or so into this thing, and our guys are kind of conditioned to live that way.
Yep.
In fact, they don't really socialize with each other that much outside of practice settings. And it's not that they don't like each other. It's just that they've been kind of told that it's not that cool to do anymore. And so I'm hoping that on the backside of this deal, we can get these young people back socializing with each other so that they can be kids and grow like I was able to do and just, be in those social settings a little bit more. Obviously, I understand why we did it.
Yep.
And the fact that we're playing in this tournament is a big part of why we wanted to do that. But I'm more concerned about trying to get out of this than I was going into it.
Love it.
My final question, Coach. One of the themes of this NCAA tournament for us media types is all of the former players who are now coaches. Obviously, Patrick Ewing wins the Big East tournament. That got a lot of play. Juwan Howard has his team as a 1 seed. So this kind of became a theme throughout the season. Now, I even saw ESPN.
Tony Bennett,
So, yeah, Tony Bennett. Sure. There are a lot of guys that used to play. So I saw ESPN did an article where they ranked all of the coaches as players. Who they ranked them 1 through 68 in this tournament. They had you at 24, Coach. And I wanted to talk to you about this because also I saw Juwan Howard did an interview where he was asked about, like, are you the best player in college of all the coaches? If you had to play them all one-on-one, who are you winning? Juwan Howard was like, absolutely. He said, the only guy I'm even kind of worried about is maybe Jerry Stackhouse. Coach, you're still on the right side of 40. You are not a bad player yourself. What do Tate and I need to do to change this narrative that it's only
if you didn't
Juwan?
watch South Carolina basketball?
Yeah, like
in the early
how
2000s.
do we help you? You could hoop yourself. I mean, this is ridiculous. You're getting no respect.
Well, I say this, being in the top third, I guess, of this discussion is pretty humbling to me, right? I grew up in New York City, so I was a Knicks fan. My dad was a Georgetown fan.
Nice.
If we're talking guys in their prime, I'm not sure I'm taking anybody over Patrick Ewing in this deal. But Juwan and Jerry are guys that I admired as well. I would compete really hard, but I'll be honest. I'm honest with myself. I've got a lot of self-awareness about who I am. I don't belong in the conversation at the top of that list. But I hope that if our teams play, that maybe I can match wits with them in this event, and we can continue on.
That's a perfect answer. You don't need to play anymore.
Coach.
Yeah. Being older is just being wise and knowing that you don't have to play.
You know your limitations. Know who you are.
Let Cade play for you. Well, you're going to let your guys play for you tomorrow. Best of luck against Oregon State. Tate and I have been on the bandwagon all year. We're staying on.
We're staying on, Coach.
Which, if we're being honest.
Knocking on wood.
We're going to knock on wood because it did not work well for our alma maters.
Yeah.
But we're riding with you, Coach. So best of luck tomorrow. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks for having me, guys. I enjoyed it.
Hey there. Thanks for watching Titus and Tate. For the full friend of the program experience, subscribe right below and come join us for all things college basketball. The action is heating up. Come join Titus and Tate.